Okay. Creating characters that span in terms of years, especially in a series. I kind of got a surprise, and I just wasn't expecting this at all. Of course, that was the definition of surprise, right? So what really hit me was the emotional connection that I have to characters, not just the main characters, not just the real true main characters, but in this 3-book series, someone who's in book 1, by the time book 2 gets around, has already passed on. And so we don't see that. We don't get that written about what happened, except in flashbacks and other people talking about this character. And in but there's another character who's in book 1, book 2, and is about halfway through book 3, and then this person passes away. And after I wrote that scene, I was a little bit stymied. I was kind of having a hard time thinking about where to go next. Well, I didn't intend for this scene to happen now. It just I thought in my back of my mind, I might want to do this with a character. I might have to, but when I did, it affected me more than I expected. I didn't at first associate the little stall that I had with that, which had just having written that scene and subsequent things that followed after. But that's kind of what I've come to believe it is. So I started thinking, what are my readers going to think who are attached to this character when they find out he's leaving? This person is leaving. I don't know. I was kind of frozen after I wrote that, but then again, this book it's not a what they call a sweet romance. It's not a Hallmark Channel kind of thing. Oh, that Hallmark Channel, which honestly I just don't care for at all, because some teenage girl discovers that the father she never knew is a prince of some foreign country or king of some foreign country, or everybody looks like a Hollywood star. Men and women alike, no matter minor characters, major, they all good looking and they're not chubby, and or they don't ever snap at each other, or they don't ever have human emotions, and they never utter a curse word in their life. Even if their life is in danger and serial killers chasing them, they don't ever utter a curse word. Of course, serial killers are verboten in Hallmark Channel, I believe, because nobody has any real problems on those, little business problems, but no real life gut-wrenching problems. Never seem to, anyway. So I'm not writing the Hallmark Channel. I don't like that, and I never will. These are real people in this book. They may be immoral people, most of them, but they're not going to be Pollyannas and caricatures of real people. They're going to be real people. They are real people, especially to me. So I started thinking after that, what are my readers going to think? Are they going to be upset? They're going to be angry with me for killing off this character that they've become attached to? But isn't that what we're supposed to do as writers? Aren't we supposed to evoke emotion and get people to want to hear what happens to them and be happy for them in good times and sad for them in bad times? I mean, real readers, really avid readers, get into the stories if there's stories worth getting into. And so are at the end, if things happen that you really didn't want to happen, are you still okay with it? And do you think, wow, that really had me feeling right in there, that particular event just had me by the throat and I couldn't put it down, that kind of thing. That's what you want, I would think. The books that I find myself reading over and over and over again, you may be surprised at some of those, but those evoke some kind of emotion. And I feel an attachment to the characters and to the stories. And I think that's what I'm trying for, of course. I'm trying for. But one of my friends, my husband and I started watching The Walking Dead years after the series was over. We never watched it when it was on the air. I thought, oh, I don't know if I can watch that. Well, I said, you know, everybody loves this series and everybody's going crazy that it ended. Why don't we start watching it? Why don't we go ahead and start watching it, right? And so we did. And after the first episode, I thought, I don't know if I can do it. Let's watch a second one so I can see. By the second one, I was hooked on characters. The characters had me coming back. The way the characters were written, this human nature on display, the best of it and the worst of it. It's really a study in human nature. And but a friend of mine who had already watched up to a point and then got kind of not too happy with a certain part, and she said she quit watching at that point. I won't tell you what that point is. She said, just don't get too attached. That was what she said. Don't get too attached. Well, I soon found out what she meant about that. When in one episode, one very jarring episode, 10 characters died all at one time. In a horrible way. And I went, whoa, that was, and I'll never forget that. The scene from that with, you know, heads on a pike all the way across a ridge, top of a hill. You know what I'm talking about if you watch that series. That was like a punch in the gut. Especially the people that were all, whose heads were detached, all on these pikes up at the top of the hill in a big row, like a fence, saying don't cross this line. So yeah, it had me a little bit right there. Okay, it had me there. So what do you think? How do you feel if one of your main characters, especially in a series, passes away or something crazy happens to them that you never saw coming? You know, how do you feel? Are you glad the author had wrote it in such a way that made you feel that? Or are you ticked off and you don't want anything bad to happen? So, yeah, some people would not want that. Some people who are extreme fans of the Hallmark Channel, which I keep bringing that up, but it's just like one of my pet peeves, the Hallmark Channel. Always has been. In fact, when editors are telling you how to write a better story, they always say, oh, let's don't watch this, don't write the Hallmark Channel episodes. Because they're all the same. They're all the same. And they all do is switch out the actors and have the same story with a couple of tweaks, and it's the same story over and over and over. But the fascination with royalty drives me crazy. It's just insane. But so how do you feel? Make sure I don't have anything else I want to tell you here. Let me have a note. No. So would I ever tell you not to become attached to the characters in my stories? Of course not. I want you to become attached. I want you to experience that. I want you to feel it. I want you to care about what happens to them. How many movies have you started to watch? Because you didn't know what it was about, and you thought, well, I'll watch it and see if it's any good. And you start watching it, and you go, oh, I don't even care. I hope they all die right now. I hope they all die in the next scene. If you don't care what happens to any characters, it's not a very good movie. So, anyway, that's all I had to say today. Take care.